We're going to go ahead and get started now. I am Paige Leverin. I am a counselor with College and Career Readiness for Westside Unified. And I just want to give you a little bit of information before we get started tonight. We have a website designed just for you and your family for college and career. And we'd love to have you take a look at our website at your convenience. So you can either look at the QR code here or our website URL. On there, you'll find things about college and career technical education, our Link Learning Academies, and obviously college and career. So everything you need to know about applying to college, our previous Ignite Your Curiosities are on there, but it's worth a look and exploration to find some really good helpful tips on there. This evening, we are going to be joined by Elizabeth Iliuda, Dr. Iliuda. She is a 2012 graduate from Redwood High School, and I am pleased to introduce her. And Dr. Iliuda, do you want to go ahead and join us?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Iliuda. All right.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Well, okay. So I would say Dr. Iliuda. I have known Elizabeth since she was 11 years old. So it's
My
Dr.
gosh,
Iliuda.
so long.
Earned the title. You've
I know. And you'll always be Mrs. Leverin for me.
Well, at this point, you get to it's Paige.
It's habit. It's habit. I can't get rid of it.
I know the feeling. I do. Okay, so let's go back to the very basics. Can you, first of all, tell us what your educational journey looked like to get to being a dentist? So where your interest started, what kind of classes did you take leading into college? What did you major in college? What was the application process like? And what was dental school like?
Yeah, okay. So basically a lot of school, a lot of hard work and determination. But, you know, with high school, I went to Redwood High School, as you mentioned. I knew I wanted to go to a UC. I ended up going to UC Davis and I studied genetics. Going into college, to be honest, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something health related, but not quite sure. It wasn't until maybe halfway through my freshman year of college, I had an existential crisis and I needed to figure out what am I going to do? What am I preparing for? I worked in a genetics lab, and think about the creepiest dungeon you can think of. That's where I worked with no people around. And I missed that. And so that's how I kind of realized, okay, I want to work with people. I want to do something, just not sure what. And I said, let's give dentistry a try. I went to UC Davis holds amazing pre-health conference and it has all the different specialties and they have presentations. You can speak with representatives. And I said, let's do dentistry, let's go for it. So up until college, in high school, I tried to take as many AP classes as I could to get into the best college I could, and did a lot of extracurricular. They like to see you're well-rounded. It's not just about grades. I'm sure a lot of students are hearing about that now. SAT and ACT, that's no longer a thing anymore.
No, it's not.
Oh
They're
my
all
gosh.
that way.
Well, that's pretty good. I think that's amazing. You can be a great test taker or you cannot, and you know, there's a lot of controversy there.
There is, and a lot of torture.
Yeah, I wasn't the best test taker, but I knew my stuff. So, you know, we're all different. So fast forward back to college, I did internships through the school, local community college, community dental clinics, and I started liking it. Joined clubs, the Pre-Dental Society in UC Davis, and just really immersed myself into there. In college, I felt like a fish in a big pond. I felt like I was so lost in college. You know, I had a really good GPA, easy peasy. I still worked hard, don't get me wrong, but in college it is something else. You're at another level with a lot of smart kids, but that pushes you to do even better. So when you guys think about college, don't get discouraged.
Elizabeth, I'm going to stop you right there because you're saying some really good points. Because sometimes students get off to college that freshman year and they experience their first D or their first F, and they think that they're all alone and they're the only ones going through it. and they don't believe that everyone else is going through the same bumps as they are.
Exactly. And I was embarrassed, to be honest. And I was straight A student. I was top of my class graduating high school, feeling, hey, I got this. I know how to study. No, you don't. Not until college. It's so different. You are away from your family. You have to prioritize your own things. The caliber is more difficult, but you find your way. You find your way. And after the toughness of first year, freshman year, you just keep going. And yeah, you're not alone. Everyone's struggling. And I was not embarrassed to go to office hours, ask for help. I went certain classes I was struggling in. Every office hour I went in and just asked the professor a million questions. So there's a lot of resources in college to help you through.
Yeah, and kids need to understand that. So I'm a UC Davis alum as well.
Yes, so
so my first year, my first midterms, that was a shocker. And
Tumbling.
one point it's like, do I go home? Like, nope, that's not who I am. But,
call my mom and cry.
I was too afraid to tell her what was happening. Like you said, that embarrassment, because you think you're the only one going through it. So that's why I think it's great that you're telling the kids this, because it is a bit of a shock at first. And
absolutely.
It's an adjustment, but if you stick it out and, like you said, use your resources, you get there.
Yes, I got through.
The kids to stay put and trust the process.
Yeah, I was discouraged at times, but I said, you know what? We keep going. There were a lot of tutoring hours. Oh my gosh, I would go for chemistry, for calculus, my weaknesses that I knew I needed to get my degree in genetics, and those classes you need to take to get into dental school. So I said, well, I want to do this. I just need to do it, get through. So there's a lot of resources. It's a matter of just getting there and doing it, put in the work. And as friends, there's geniuses there.
There are. So I wasn't as brave as you, but I did take intro to genetics. And I think my saving grace was the professor put his old test bank on file at the basement in the library. And I went and grabbed those and used those as my study guide. Otherwise, would not have happened.
Yeah. I look back and like, why did I pick that degree? But hey, it enriched my brain. Let's say that. Built character.
So when you apply to dental school, are there any tests, like, we have the LSAT for law school, the MCAT for medical school. What did you have to take for dental school?
Right, so it's called the DAT, Dental Admissions Test. And it's another standardized test, but it's unique to dentistry. There are certain sections that test your perceptual ability. We are working with our hands, our eyes, we're working backwards in mirrors, all this funky stuff. So it's almost like puzzles within the exam. Then there's also the basic sciences that, every test has, but the biggest difference would be the perceptual ability test. So I reserved a summer where I took a Kaplan course. Again, I used my resources. They gave me a structure. Not everyone, has access to those, and that's fine. You can do well without them. I just knew me, and I said, hey, let's use this as a guide. And then a month of studying on my own. So once I had a routine, then I studied another month by myself, and I only had to take it once. Luckily, I was happy with my score the first time. Some were a little bit higher, some were a little bit lower than I thought, but hey, we made it. That's what matters. If you have to take it again, it's okay. You just, your weaknesses and your strengths. So my weaknesses, the math section or bio, it's just so much. It's overwhelming, but you got to stick with it. So DAT.
Perfect. So dental school is it 3 years? And then do you do like a residency, or is it just 3 years and then you go out and practice?
Good question. So in the United States, all the schools except for one are 4 years. The one I went to is 3 years. University of the Pacific, the dental schools in San Francisco, the main campus is in Stockton. They have an accelerated program. Me being, cuckoo, I did the accelerated program because the benefit for me was I finish a year faster and I can start working and doing my dream job. And it was also my dream school, but there were some bumps to getting there. So I'll talk about that. So residency. So residency, for those who don't know, it's another program after you graduate from dental school to get acclimated into the real world. It's not required, but it's available. And there's a couple different programs. I myself am not doing one. I was lucky to have a job offer waiting for me straight out the bat. In some cases, you know, students want more experience and more time, and that's okay too. You want to hear about the bumps to getting into dental school?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. So there's a moment of time where I was just I was sad, embarrassed, but you know what? I'm glad that I had these moments because it sounds so cliche, but I learned a lot from it and it helped me mature and develop more. So I applied to dental school after college, like most students do, but it's getting more common to take what's called gap years. You have
Yes.
a time between, you know, college and professional school to live and breathe a little bit. But I wanted to go straight in. Well, that's not the case. I applied, I did not get in. And so I had to take a step back and say, okay, what can I do to make myself, you know, more, what's the word?
Stand out.
Yeah,
Desirable as a
competitive.
candidate. Competitive. There you go.
Yes. So in dental school, excuse me, in college, my weakness was my GPA. It wasn't as high as I wanted it to be. I can't even remember what it was. That's how it doesn't matter anymore. Once you're at this stage, I had a lot of extracurricular activity. So this is where balance is important. I spent a lot of time. I was the president of the Pre-Dental Society. I ran a lot of meetings. I did events. I was always doing something. I did my research for 3 years in a lab doing experiments, which is very time consuming. And a couple other, you know, things. I did tennis. I was just very, you know, spread out. Spread thin. Yeah. And yeah, genetics, it was tough. It was tough, but I liked it once you get out of the weeding classes and into the more niche, you know, there's 10 people in a class instead of 400. So what I did was I did a post-bac program. A post-bac program is basically extra college in a way. You don't really get a degree, but you get a certificate saying you did these classes and here you go. So that was at Cal State University, East Bay, and up in Hayward in the Bay Area. Did about a year, took a bunch of more science classes. And to be honest, at first I was really bummed. I was like, this sucks. This isn't like me to have to not get in. I'm used to being successful, but that teaches you.
It was your first experience with failure.
Exactly. That's exactly the way to put it.
And
exactly.
Quite honestly, I found the later in life students experience that failure, whether it's, I think the ideal time is high school to experience that failure, but very bright kids, often it's in their graduate program.
100% agree.
My daughter went to law school. It was definitely law school for her too. And when you've never experienced failure, the later you experience it, it hits harder.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. That's why I think it's important to talk about this, because a lot of times things don't go according to plan. And when you're used to that, it's a shock. So I had to, you know, rewire the way I saw myself and saw life, and do what I had to do. And took a bunch of science classes, kicked butt. It sounds so sad. I was like, I take all these classes, but I had fun. I took weird classes like virology, bacterial, what else? Parasites, a parasitology class, so much more. And I felt so much more enriched and having fun about it. This program in particular, the post-bac program, specializes in health professionals, aspiring health professionals, and they really supported us through. I applied again, got multiple offers, including UOP, my dream school, and I did it. So I think I started school a little bit later than I wanted to, but I think that having the extra time and the maturity and the experience really helped me be well equipped for the stresses of dental school itself. Because there were some youngsters that didn't handle it so well, but hey, everyone's different. So for me personally, it was actually a blessing in disguise.
Okay, but let's put this in perspective. So you started dental school, what, 23?
Yeah.
Okay, so not real old though, so you're still on the young side.
Yeah,
Perspective. It wasn't like you were 28, 29, 30. You're still
no,
young.
and yeah,
You weren't just
I
21.
feel like dental school aged me another 10 years, but I made a lot of good classmates who were at that part of the older 20s.
Mhm.
And I just gravitated towards them because they're more mature. They were, we could really bond. And we had some 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds in dental school. Yeah, they have a special program, UOP. They can, do some of the social activities with us.
Yeah.
But they were even sponsored. They had to get, blacklisted. But yeah, so it was good. It was good.
So your dental classes, so the first year, is it more the theoretical side? When do you get to go and start doing the hands-on?
So for UOP specifically, because it's in 3 years, it's a little bit compacted. First year, we did hands-on the mannequins, the fake teeth, the fake patients, getting our hands somewhat, used to doing small finer movements. But on top of that, we also had a bombardment of the didactic classes. A lot of studying, basically no breaks in between, just always studying, always studying. Exams every few days.
And that studying, did you do by yourself or in a group?
Both.
Okay.
It depends on the subject.
Fair enough.
The subject matter. Yeah. For my weaknesses, I studied with my friends and had them explain it to me. And there's certain material that if I already was familiar with it, I could review on my own. Or vice versa if they needed my help.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of teamwork.
And going back to that idea that you don't get through school and life by yourself. It
No. Yeah.
Nor should you try.
Yeah, my class had a really amazing camaraderie. We shared resources, there were about 140 of us, and we always, shared, oh, so-and-so's making a study guide. Here, post it in the group chat for everyone to use and to add to it. So it was one big team, luckily. There was not a lot of competitive edge, like, oh, I don't want to help this one. Everyone was very helpful with each other. And I was lucky with that.
That's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite part about dental school and what was your least favorite?
I loved meeting my friends, my new friends, and some of them came from Davis with me. So I had some old friends too, but some of the new friends I made, I still talk to them, even though I've graduated almost a year now. So you will make lifelong friends there. I made some really good people.
That's great. If you were to give advice to students that are in high school right now, or even middle school, looking forward, what would that advice be?
That's a good question. I would say have a goal in mind, work towards it. If you have to take some extra steps, it's okay. And if you keep working, you'll get there. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. It's true. Everything seems so daunting, but if you take it step by step, and you'll get there.
I think that's really good advice. I think sometimes we have this perception that we're supposed to do it fast and quick and perfect, and that's not reality.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I used to think like that, but not anymore.
Yeah. I like to tell people I have 3 kids, and if you were thinking about, the way to get through college as traveling from California to New York, I had one child that went on a jet plane. I have one child that's doing car ride and going through all 50 states to get there. And I have another that's doing the train ride, steady and sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in the end, you get to the same point and the same results. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely not a race. Let me do this. Let me talk to our audience and say, if you guys have questions right now for Elizabeth, you can go down to either the Q&A or the chat and post those questions for her. And we'd be happy to hear from you and see if she can help you out with anything that you might have some curiosity about. In the meantime, Elizabeth, while they're thinking about those questions, if you weren't a dentist, what other area in life do you think you would be interested in working?
I've been asked that before, and I think I would love to be like just an artist, a painter, sculptor, just anything. Growing up, I was always doing crafts, always painting, ceramics, you name it. I think that's part of it translated into dentistry since I'm always working with my hands. and sometimes it's art and making pretty smiles. So definitely
Yeah.
artists. If I didn't have to worry about income, then
Well, yeah, that's sometimes the reality of life too. Okay, does anyone, I don't see anything yet in the chat or the Q&A. I want to make sure I give you guys a chance before we end our session tonight. So please go down there and post there. But Elizabeth, I kind of like what you said earlier, that you were doing internships and research while you were going through school. And I try to tell students that, you know, degrees get you the interviews, your internships while you're in college actually get you the job. And so, you know, I know when I was in college, I was a research assistant for one of my professors as well. How did you get those opportunities?
so it's really just putting yourself out there. Naturally, I'm a little bit on the shyer side, but I just had to say, you know, if this is something I want to do, I'm going to apply for it. I made my resumes, I contact whomever, set up a meeting, and go from there. And like you said, you can have all these things checked on the box, but it comes to you, your character, and how you present yourself and what you feel like you can offer. And I think people will see through, they'll see through and see into you what you have.
Yeah.
I think that was important.
And do you feel like those research opportunities gave you more skills?
Yeah, it did. I did some research for my own project and for other projects for the grad students in the lab. And I got to just kind of learn different things and apply genetics, because it was a genetics lab and that was my degree. So what I was learning in class, I get to do it hands-on. So abstract becomes reality. And I thought that was a really cool way to apply it. And although I might not be doing that as a dentist, there are things that I learned that are genetic that comes to dentistry, and there is some relevance there. So it just, you know, enriched my brain.
Absolutely. Okay, we have some good questions for you. So let me go ahead and read those off for you. The first one, I'm a former RDA. I know dental can be stressful. Did you get a bachelor's in science? And would you recommend becoming a dentist as being a parent?
Good
so
question.
I'm assuming as a parent, are you is our audience member asking, as a parent, would you want your child to go to dental school, or can you balance dentistry and being a parent at the same time? That's what I'm not clear on. So so basically, what did you get? Did you get a bachelor in science, and would you recommend becoming a dentist as a parent?
Okay.
Balance as a parent with the child. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, yeah. So as an RDA, you know the ins and outs of what goes on in dentistry, and you're the right hand lady for the dentist. So I did get a bachelor's in science of genetics. Most schools, I believe, require bachelor's, some don't. I would double check on their website. And as a parent, I actually know multiple students that I went to school with that already had kids or became new parents during school. Granted, most of them were male, so they didn't have to actually go through the pregnancy, but I knew some of them that were pregnant and did have children during it, and existing and new ones, and they made it, and they make it work. They manage it. It's about being efficient from what I've talked with them, and teamwork with their partner, and it's possible. My mom's a dentist, and I got to see her a lot growing up, and she took care of us, and so did my dad. And I think it's a really good profession to create your own work-life balance. So I recommend it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We have another question. They're wondering, as you go into the dental field, of course, you're spending a lot of money going through dental school.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, coming out of dental school, what kind of income do dentists typically make, and does that balance out the loans that you're going to have to take for dental school, that type of thing?
So income can really depend on where you are physically, what state, what kind of practice you have, what insurances you're taking, if you even take insurances. It can range from 100,000 to 400,000. If you're a new grad, you're not going to be making that much. You're going to be a little bit slower. If you're working with associate, you may not have as many abilities. it's going to take time to build up to a high income, but overall, you'll start, getting the hang of it. Yes, if you might have a lot of loans, student loans to help pay for dental school, and the school I went to happens to be one of the most expensive ones, but I got a really good education from it, and over time, I know I'll pay it back, so I'm not worried about that. There are programs that you can apply to that will reimburse you. So before, you mentioned the residency. After you graduate, you do a year, and they can pay part of your loans off.
Okay.
Yeah, there's all kinds of programs, so there's
That's
ways.
good to know too.
Yeah.
I had some friends that went through medical school, and I know they joined the armed forces as they were going through medical school. So
that's a good one too.
Yeah, so they paid for the medical school, and then they did the 5 year services as a physician to pay back that time. But they walked away at least without any student loan debt.
Yes,
so,
and there's that for dentistry too. Yeah,
perfect. That's good to know.
Yep.
Okay, they came up with another great question for you. Is it stressful?
It can be.
I'll take that as yes.
It can be. I know earlier I messaged you, I'm like, I might be a little bit late. I have a patient that's running behind. We were fine, but it can be. If you're well prepared, you're working with people. And it can be, unpredictable, but it's a good stress, and it's very rewarding. And I wouldn't, it's just something going in. It's gonna be stressful, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And I have a lot of fun. I'm always laughing with my patients. I crack them up. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's any job you have, there's a certain amount of stress.
Yeah.
And especially when you're working with the public, which you're doing. So those people skills would be very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's something where I got lucky with, that I can naturally, chat and get them to kind of loosen up, because I hear every day, I hate the dentist. I'm scared. I don't like the shots. I'm like, I know, but hey, we'll make it through. And, I heard that today too, actually. But we got what we needed to do.
I've got to ask you, has anyone bit you yet?
Oh yeah. At least once a week.
What was that?
At least once a week.
Wow.
Usually it's on accident, or if it's a kid, because I see all ages from babies to however old, want to come in, and kids might, play around, but you think it's the kids, it's the adults that bite me more.
That's not good.
I haven't needed to seek medical attention yet, so.
Well, let's keep it on the yet. Let's not go there with
that. Yes. It happens. It's fine. I don't even think about it anymore.
That's called going with the flow.
Yeah. I have my mission. We're going to do it.
So, Elizabeth, as we're kind of ending our session this evening, is there any other advice that you'd like to give to our students out there?
Be curious. If you are unsure about dentistry, that's fine. I didn't know until later in the game. Some people, I grew up with a dentist, and I didn't want to be a dentist forever until I was an adult. So be curious, keep your options open, go to as many things as you can to kind of learn more and ask everyone questions. And you guys are doing a good job watching this, joining in with us. So
yeah.
Good.
And I think that's a good point. I mean, when you leave high school and you're going into college, sometimes students have the expectation that they should know exactly what they're going to be. And the reality is most don't.
Yeah.
But the great thing about going off to college is they've got, like you said, so many programs out there where you can start getting these experiences that you can't necessarily get in high school. So those experiences are going to give you the perspective to narrow down which direction you're going to go.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
So I'm so glad that you took advantage of so many of the opportunities that Davis gave you. And that's not just unique to Davis, but most colleges have those opportunities.
Yeah.
You just have to seek them out.
Exactly. Put yourself out there and don't be shy. And if you are, then just keep pushing through. That's what I've had to do, and it was worth it. It's worth it.
Well, Elizabeth, I am so proud to call you Dr. Iliuta, and I'm so proud of you. like I said, yeah, I've known Elizabeth since she was little, so. I
A
got-
young lass.
Yes, and what I always tell you, watch out for the quiet ones. They're gonna do great things. I
Work
said maybe
hard
trouble, but
silently.
hey.
It's, you know,
You were great. You're a great kid. You were a great kid. You're a great young adult, and very proud of you. Well,
thank you.
I think that's going to end it for us this evening. Elizabeth,
Okay.
thank you for taking your time this
Of
evening and
course.
spending it with our students.
Absolutely.
And we wish you the very best as you start out in your practice. And thank you.
Thank you for having me.